They say the real fighting starts the minute something's worth a damn, and with HOAs, you better believe it. You want to know how a dead patch of salty earth became the most vicious battlefield I've ever known? Pull up a chair, let me tell you how it really went down. Right from the boots on the ground, hands in the dirt view, not some sanitized corporate newsletter. See, I came out to Lake Millfield when this place was little more than a punchline. 15 acres of land so salty and ruined. Even the tumbleweeds looked tired. The air stung like bleach, and you couldn't walk more than a few feet without your boots turning white from the crust. Old man Mueller, the guy selling the land, just laughed, told me I was the sixth fool in 2 years to even look. I still remember him scraping his heel across the ground, that bitter smile, like he'd already buried the place in his mind. But you know what? That stench, heavy brine mixed with whatever chemical cocktail the 80s left behind, it didn't scare me. It reminded me of something my old man used to say back when the bank took our family farm, pressing his worn-out pocket watch into my hand. Land's the only thing they can't take if you really know how to hold on. Yeah, I held on to that watch like a promise, every time doubt started gnawing at me. I bought those 15 acres for $127,000, spotting some cryptic reference on the paperwork about Cro-Mag research, synthetic fertilizer trials, 1984. Mueller shrugged, said some chemical company made a mess and left it for dead. But me, I saw a puzzle no one had solved, and I had a stubborn streak a mile wide. Thanks, Dad. For 2 years I banged my head against that soil. Tried tomatoes, corn, desert plants. Nothing survived more than a month. Even built a homemade hydroponic rig, thinking maybe I could just sidestep the ground altogether. Still, every plant collapsed, poisoned from below. People around here started calling my project the monument to failure. It stung, but I kept on, working city architecture gigs to keep myself afloat, driving back every night to watch the sun go down on another wasted crop. One night, when the sky was melting orange over the salt flats and I was pretty close to calling it quits, I spotted this older guy down by the lake, poking at the shore with a pro-level soil kit. He marched over, didn't even introduce himself at first, just said, "You're doing it all wrong. The land's not dead, it's just poisoned. I should know, I helped do it." That's when he stuck out his hand. Dr. Edmund Mitchell, ex-Cro-Mag scientist, UC Davis pedigree, more biochem knowledge in his little finger than I had in my whole body. Turns out, he'd been watching me struggle for years, wanted to see if I'd give up. He'd blown the whistle back in the day, tried to stop the environmental damage, but the company buried his research and tossed him out. That's when he started explaining what really happened to my soil, the chemical lock, he called it. Synthetic fertilizers had created these invisible barriers, choking out water and nutrients like a molecular prison. But here's the kicker. He'd actually developed the antidote and spent the last 40 years perfecting it in secret. You know, I probably should have worried about him stealing proprietary data or whatever, but at that point, I was done playing it safe. Together, we mapped out a crazy plan, a 3-year bioremediation cascade. We used special enzymes to break down the chemical bonds, then rebuilt the soil biology with custom microorganism cocktails, and finally introduced hardy grape varieties that would help finish the cleanup job. It was like doing surgery on the earth itself. The neighbors thought we were nuts. Mrs. Patterson came over more than once to ask if I was growing Martian potatoes. But you know what? By the end of the 3rd year, the soil tests went from fire alarm red to a soft green, and the first grapevines didn't just live, they exploded out of the ground. Dr. Mitchell kept saying the detox soil was actually better than before, something about the new mineral profile. And that, of course, is exactly when the HOA decided to show up with their transfer request. Karen Whitmore, perfect hair, legal pad, the whole works, knocked on my door, all smiles, holding up a laminated letter. She came in like a wolf in heels, talking about unapproved biological agents and how my vineyard, by some creative reading of community boundaries, actually belonged to everyone. She grilled me with questions no regular HOA president should know to ask. Enzyme ratios, microorganism strains, EPA rules. Her background in agribusiness law came out quick. It didn't take long to realize she wasn't playing checkers, she was playing chess, weaponizing environmental codes and paperwork, slapping me with $40,000 in required studies, and threatening to shut me down over permits. I dug into her past, and, let's just say, Karen was no soccer mom. 15 years as a top exec at Agritech, specializing in what they called market consolidation, corporate speak for crushing guys like me. And she kept dropping hints that she knew things only someone inside Chromag would know. Here's where it gets twisty. Dr. Mitchell confesses he and Karen go way back. She was the corporate lawyer who orchestrated the whole Chromag cover-up, ruined his reputation, and made sure he'd never work in science again. Now, she's sniffing around my vineyard, probably trying to bury us a second time. So what did I do? I invited in independent soil scientists, got university folks and EPA consultants to tour the place, opened up every record. The experts loved what we'd done, said it was the best soil recovery they'd seen in decades. Karen, though, just shifted gears. Now it was property values, staged community meetings, coached testimonials from neighbors suddenly concerned about their gardens. The pressure was so coordinated, it was like watching bad community theater. Then things got real dirty. Break-ins at my greenhouse, missing samples, notebooks moved, signs of surveillance. My lawyer, James Morrison, a guy who looked like he'd been wrestling with giants all his life, helped me file patents on every bit of our technology before someone else could. Turns out, a shadow company called Meridian Bios was filing copycat patents using data suspiciously close to ours. You see the pattern? This wasn't some HOA tiff. This was corporate warfare. And then, just as our grapes started turning heads at fancy restaurants, Karen hit me with the nuke. A formal complaint with the county, triggering an all-out regulatory siege. Inspections, endless forms, environmental impact studies, accusations of illegal biotech use. Insurance bailed on me. Orders vanished. I was 2 breaths away from losing everything. But Morrison found a game-changer buried in the old deed, an agricultural exemption never properly filed. That meant the HOA had zero authority over my operation. Everything Karen had done was a paper tiger. We turned the evidence of surveillance, break-ins, and the patent plot over to federal agents, who started sniffing around Meridian Bios and Agritech as shell companies. Right about then, Agritech made their final move. They tried to buy me out for millions, contracts so tight I couldn't farm again for a decade. I told them no. The next morning, my utilities were cut, roads blocked, and, yeah, they even sent drones, 6 of them, dusting my entire vineyard with a custom poison. It killed the grapes, the soil, damn near killed me, and Dr. Mitchell too. You can't make this stuff up. But they slipped. The chemical left a signature, traceable right back to Agritech's own factories. We documented everything, soil samples, security footage, even caught the van they used for their command center. Morrison handed it to the FBI, who were more than happy to bring the hammer down. While the feds were building their case, I went live on social media, walked viewers through the wreckage, thousands of dead vines, scorched earth, the whole deal. The story blew up. Neighbors who'd been Karen's puppets started coming clean, admitted to being paid, coached, threatened. The community flipped overnight. Final twist. Karen, thinking I was beat, met me for a negotiation. Only, I was wired. She bragged, in detail, about the whole operation, sabotage, surveillance, everything, thinking it was all just business as usual at her level. That recording became the center of the federal case. The raids hit like a thunderclap across 6 states, nabbing everyone from Karen to Agritech execs to the shadowy patent lawyers. Charges: terrorism, racketeering, conspiracy, you name it. Media picked it up, Congress got involved. Even the wine magazines wrote glowing pieces about the vineyard that wouldn't die. And the soil? The microbe colonies adapted, evolved resistance, came back stronger. The Carter method got patented, and instead of losing everything, I won a global licensing deal, millions in settlements, and the chance to turn that dead land into the gold standard for soil recovery worldwide. Dr. Mitchell got his name cleared and a research chair. The HOA dissolved. People here vote to make this an agricultural sanctuary, not a playground for power-hungry lawyers. And me? Well, I'm still out here, watching the sun come up over the grape rows, listening to my dad's old pocket watch tick in my palm. They tried to take everything, not just my land, but the very idea that one stubborn person can still stand up to a machine and win. So here's my ask to you. What's your line in the sand? Where's your fight? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me what justice looks like where you live. Like and share if you believe even a small voice can take down a giant. And remember, when you see something worth fighting for, hang on with both hands. Because sometimes, that's the only way the world ever changes.